This is herbal medicine. You're extracting a large quantity of this incredible, mysterious tonic. Why is it mysterious? Science and research hasn't looked into what is in celery yet. Barely any information out there. Another reason why people don't know, but we're getting there. We're actually getting there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the world. Thanks to each and every one of you for learning, listening, and growing with us. Thank you so much for prioritizing your growth in work, self, and love. And like you know, every week, I'm trying to find guests that are going to give you really raw, authentic, genuine advice. People who are coming at this from new angles, new ideas, fresh perspectives that can genuinely help you transform your life and move it forward. And today's guest will not disappoint. I'm genuinely so grateful and excited for this person for making time, making space in their life, for coming on and being on the podcast. His name is Anthony William, and he's the originator of the global celery juice movement. He's a 4 times #1 New York Times best-selling author, and today's the launch of his new book, which is called Celery Juice, the most powerful medicine of our time, healing millions worldwide. Anthony, thank you so much for being here.
An incredible introduction. I'm honored. I can't even believe it. It's so awesome being here.
Well, it's awesome. You had to do it all, so it's all true.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Happy to talk to your audience. So much to talk about. Lots to cover on health, things that are life-changing, things that move the needle. And that's what matters. You know, when you're sick with chronic illness and you're trying to get better and you can't move that needle forward and and you're stuck in it and you're just in the trenches of it all. And then something takes you further along and you finally start experiencing a benefit. You start getting better. Like say the celery juice is one of the most powerful healing tools out there. And when you start moving forward, it's life-changing like no other. When people are stuck, when they're actually really stuck in the trenches of what I call hell, basically chronic illness, and they finally see the light. And that matters. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely. And I love that energy, man, because I think you're so right that so many of us today are so stuck. And a lot of the time we've tried everything. Or I hear that a lot where people are like, I've tried everything. Like I've been to my doctor, I've been to this person. Like I tried my weird thing that my aunt comes up with. Like, I've tried all of these things.
And the thing is, it's not like those are bad. Those are all good things because everybody's got a piece of the puzzle. You got the best doctors out there. You got functional medicine doctors. You got alternative guys. You got conventional guys, girls, all of them. They're all working hard on their patients and people. People have compassion. Doctors are the most incredible people. The compassion to wake up in the morning, go to the office and work on person after person after person like they do and hear their stories and hear their cries. Doctors are unbelievable. And there's a lot of good tools out there, right? But what happens is there's some things people don't even know about yet that plug into what they're doing. Say they're doing a keto diet, or say they're doing a paleo diet, say they're doing a vegan diet, say they're doing a plant-based diet, and they're not getting all the results they need. And they're all confused and everybody's flip-flopping from vegan to paleo to vegan, and everybody is all upset. But when you plug in something like the celery juice and you know how to use it, you can move forward wherever you are. You can plug this into what you're doing. It's tools like that literally move the needle and change the lives of millions. And right now, hundreds of millions are drinking celery juice. It's the most powerful healing movement of our time and day. And I want everybody to actually be part of it because why miss out? What are you going to do? You're not going to do it? You're not going to partake in something that could change your life? Absolutely. So I want everybody to know this isn't one of those scams or farces. This is that powerful. When you use this herbal medicine, something changes inside of us.
I love that. And I can't wait to uncover that with you in this podcast and in the live that we're about to do. I can't wait to get into all the details. But I want to take it backwards slightly.
Sure.
Because I want people to understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
And I want people to understand your background, your journey, and just behind the mind, inside the mind of Anthony. So I want to go back to you being 4 years old.
Yeah.
And you're 4 years old, and you literally, without any help, any support, whatever it is, you literally let your grandmother know that
she had lung cancer.
She had lung cancer.
Yeah.
She was symptom free. Like no one knew at that time.
Not at all. No.
And then they checked.
Yeah.
And you were spot on.
Yeah, woke up one morning and heard a voice perfectly clear. You know, people say, wait a minute, how does he get this advanced medical information that's decades ahead of research and science? You know, I know scientists, I know incredible doctors, lab technicians, and they say his information is advanced. Whether anybody likes it or not, whether the source he hears it from you don't agree with or you're not happy about, this voice he hears that he heard at 4 years old that diagnosed his grandmother of lung cancer, and from there on, this is all he's ever done. And people are like, hey, you know what? I don't know. Do I trust this? And I totally understand. I totally get it. A guy that hears a voice, when you really know the origin of it, you know, it's hard. But when lab technicians and scientists and doctors that are elevated in the field of medicine say his advanced information, like Epstein-Barr causing Hashimoto's thyroiditis, he was the first to actually bring that out before they even knew that's what was happening. And when they say, hey, he's advanced with this information and it's about getting people better, we got to kick back a little bit. We got to calm down and say, okay, let's listen to this because this is different. This is actually really helping people. And at 4 years old, that's what happened. It was information coming through perfectly clear. I heard it straight in a voice right to me. And I've been using that ever since, not just my grandmother with that. What happened was, in 1975, in the fall of 1975, had another family member with a back problem that wouldn't ease off. The doctors didn't know what was really causing the back problem. It wasn't an injury. It was an inflammatory condition, a mystery back injury or a mystery back inflamed problem where they're suffering. They couldn't walk, right? In late 1975, Spirit, which I call Spirit, the voice, said celery juice. This is when it started. Celery juice for this family member. We didn't have really any kind of juicer. Look what year it is. Look what's going on. We weren't prepared. They had the blender, the beat up old blender. We ground up that celery, right? And we strained it with a cheesecloth and we just strained it out. And a family member was a skeptic about celery juice. Well, what do you mean celery juice? Drank it and started recovering that night, slowly recovering. And then the end of the week, out of the woods with his back problem, walking. And it's that kind of thing right there. And yes, the voice tells me what to do. So that's what I've done. Dedicated my life helping people, but giving them information that even doctors want to know. There are thousands of doctors in this country alone with the Medical Medium Series books in their offices. Patients have brought them in and the doctors they're smart. They read it and say, wait a minute. This is different. Whoa, wait, he's talking about viruses. He's talking about pathogens. He's talking about things we don't know about viruses and pathogens that's not anywhere. And also what to do, which is one of the tools, the celery juice.
What I'm more interested in, because I've seen all of that research, I've seen people say, of all of your incredible background and the studies and the research and the fact that it's worked for people, How did you start to trust that voice? Because I almost feel like that's sometimes harder. It's like trusting your own, trusting a voice that's coming through. How was that process for you?
You know what it is when you see it working in front of your own eyes.
The results.
You know, when I was 13 years old and a stock boy in a little grocery store, and that voice is telling me, you know, why someone has diabetes or what's going on or what's happening with them or the brain tumor that they have or something that's going on. And the voice is telling me what's happening inside their bodies and what they need. You can't avoid it. You can't ignore it. It's not one of those things you just say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, it's not what you're in it and you go with it and you keep on working, you know, forward to help people and change their lives. It's so critical.
Absolutely. So let's get on to the celery juice. How did you start discovering the secret behind this herb? Like, how did you start seeing that it had such a powerful effect? Like, how did you first uncover? Because I think there are just so many vegetables out there. You can make so many juices.
Yeah.
People have drank probably the wrong juices for such a long time.
Yeah.
But where did it start?
All juices are great. That's the thing. All juices are great. They offer benefits. And a lot of people, they get confused and they say, well, why would celery juice by itself do anything for you? And one of the reasons is it's an herb. It's not a vegetable. It's an actual herb, and herbal medicine is powerful. I mean, if anybody's listening out here, do you like herbs on any level? What herbs are your favorite? There's so many people that are into they're into herbs. That's the whole thing. You got Chinese medicine, you got Ayurvedic, you got all this. Herbs are powerful. And there's herbalists out there, there's doctors out there, natural doctors, and herbs are a big part of our lives. Well, why do they do things for us? Because they're very healing. Well, celery has been, no one knew. And that's the thing. I mean, even when I heard it from The Voice originally, perfectly clear, juice the celery, it's an herb. I was even like, wait a minute, no, it's a celery stick. What do you mean? Yeah. This is a vegetable that no one cares about and never really cared about. And Spirit's like, it's not a vegetable, it's an herb, it's herbal medicine. You extract it in a large quantity. And when you do that, that's when the miracles happen. And then, someone might say, wait a minute, you have to leave the fiber. You have to leave the pulp. Juicing's not good. You're leaving like nutrition behind, the fiber and the pulp. But what they don't understand is chamomile tea, right? Do you eat the tea bag after you've had you go out with a friend, right? Do you cut open that tea bag and say, wait a minute, I got to get this fiber. I got to get this pulp here because that's where the nutrition is. No, the medicine comes from the chamomile, and that's what you're getting, that medicine to relax you, to calm you, the things that people like. Same thing with other herbs and herbal teas and so forth. Of course, you can eat some of the herbs, but they're better extracted, the medicine. So it's the power of that. This is an herbal tonic, an herbal elixir. And what you'll see out there is dietitians who are amazing people or nutritionists who are amazing people. What they'll do is they'll be confused and be like, no, leave the pulp and fiber. Anthony William doesn't know what he's talking about. You don't want to just have that. And they don't know. This is herbal medicine. You're extracting a large quantity of this incredible, mysterious tonic. Why is it mysterious? Science and research hasn't looked into what is in celery yet. Barely any information out there. Another reason why people don't know, but we're getting there. We're actually getting there.
We are getting there. And you're leading that movement, which I absolutely love. Like, it's incredible. Like, you're really pushing that out there. And I think it's so important that we do live in a time where we are allowing unique voices to come to the fore.
Yeah.
Maybe in 1975 and years after that, people would have been closed to these things. But now people are seeing also the lack of certain research and certain studies and recognizing that there are alternatives. Tell me, when you started uncovering celery juice, what are the key issues that you're seeing celery juice benefit? What are the key challenges that people are experiencing?
Autoimmune disease.
I know there's a big list.
Oh my God, big list. People dealing with chronic illness. When I call chronic illness, symptoms that won't alleviate or come constantly or on and off intermittently, but they don't go away technically. What could that be? Chronic fatigue syndrome, ME chronic fatigue syndrome, right? Lyme disease, multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, lupus. These are just some things. Eczema and psoriasis, rosacea, different conditions people suffer from and all this. Acne, there's SIBO. All of these things, you could just keep on going on. Things that people are plagued with, and the fatigue is one of them. That's a big one. When moms can't get out and they can't get out of the house and run the house and run their careers and take care of their children because they can barely function because of severe brain fog, chronic fatigue syndrome, and not have real answers. And the fibromyalgia and the rheumatoid arthritis and all these things people suffer with, these are the things celery juice starts to move the needle with. It's these things. It's different when someone's exercising every day, 2 hours a day. They feel good. They're young. They're strong in the moment. They haven't gotten sick yet in their lives. They haven't been there. And they're trying celery juice for a week and they're like, I'm not sure what I'm noticing. I think there might have been energy. I don't know. But then you take someone who's been to 50 doctors, okay, been through hell and back, struggled, suffered, been told they're crazy, okay, or given 3 or 4 different diagnoses. And then you take somebody like that and they've tried everything. They've been on every diet. They've been to every functional medicine doctor. They've been to every single conventional doctor, everybody they can under the sun. And then they try celery juice for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for 2 months, for 30 days, for anything, for 5 days. And they're like, oh my God, I'm getting relief for the first time. And I've tried everything. I have 50 supplements piled up in my house, in my cupboards. I got all this food I buy every day from all these different diet plans. I talk to all these different doctors. I'm online looking for information. And celery juice is moving the needle and it's getting me better. And that's why it's here. There's something really important to understand here. Health trends are not propelled like this. This is propelled because people are actually healing. That's the difference. This is an organic movement. This is a trend or something more powerful above a trend. And people don't realize this yet.
That's the truth.
Naysayers are too late for the party. They can complain and cry and say, oh, there's no science behind it. What else? And there's so many things. Someone said recently, oh, forget celery juice. You have to eat all the rainbow of the colors. Where's the science proving that if you eat every rainbow in the color that you're going to fix your chronic illness? Where's that science? There's no science on that about what someone actually healing a chronic illness moving forward because they're eating all the rainbows and the colors. Of course you want all the colors in the foods and you want all the different foods. I never said you know that would be bad or good or not. I said that's great. But celery juice is a medicine that you can bring into everything you're doing, and it's really changing lives. It's incredible. I know I keep on saying that. It's only because it actually is working. Other health trends are propelled by other things. There's tremendous monetary behind it, like monetary involvement, pushing that trend. So you take all that collagen, of course. So you take all of that, whatever it is. So you take all that apple cider vinegar. So you take it all. There's money, which, hey, that's just how the world works. We know that. And there's money propelling that. Well, the only thing propelling celery juice is millions of people getting benefits and telling their story without being prompted or paid to do it. It's never happened in history before. And if you don't like that idea, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like the idea of there's no science behind celery juice yet, you know what? Tell that to someone who suffered and struggled, pushed through their day, and they realize, see, when you get sick, you realize science and research doesn't have answers for chronic illness. Sure, there's life-saving medicine out there. Sure, if you get into a car accident, there's life-saving medicine. I know incredible ER doctors. I know amazing surgeons, actually, that do procedures that save our lives in all kinds of different problems we have. But let me tell you this right here, Jay, okay? When you're sick and you're struggling and you're suffering and you've been to 20 doctors, okay, you realize fast science and research dropped the ball somewhere. Where? Maybe people don't know, but they dropped it, and they dropped it hard because people have been suffering and struggling. There's over 250 million Americans in the U.S. that have a symptom that won't go away. Getting worse, and that's where we're heading. We're heading into the land of the lost, getting worse with chronic illness. And so you quickly learn, especially young, you're 20 years old, 22 years old, you get sick, you're 25 years old, you get sick. You quickly learn right there, science and research isn't what everybody was saying it is when it comes down to, wait, I got Lyme disease? What do you mean? Is it getting better? It's not. I'm trying this. I'm trying antibiotics. Wait, now I have multiple sclerosis? Or what is this symptom? Anxiety? It's crippling? Depression? And you realize science and research doesn't know anything about these things. So then where are we then? Someone said to me, Jay, they said, there's no science and research to your information. There's no science and research to celery juice. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know science and research fixed every chronic ill person. I didn't know we have nobody suffering. I didn't know no one was sick and going to 50 doctors. And that's the world today. Celery juice is this barrier breaker. It's like, okay, get ready, because this is one of the most powerful tools that's going to move you forward.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with you. Like, I think everything you've just stated there, I agree with the fact that science and research is measuring that which has happened.
Yeah.
Right? It's rarely, we call it breakthrough science, but it's not breakthrough because it has to watch something for a significant amount of time or years. You know what I mean? Like, whereas these ideas or these unique things that come out, they get tested over time.
Yeah.
It's never, you can't test something in 2 seconds and then talk about it.
Yeah. And science and research is amazing. We need it.
Agreed.
I'm all for it. In fact, some incredible things do happen from it, but they're usually theories that have to be proven somehow.
Correct.
Right? And then you have the investors behind it to prove it. And then in the end, you don't know what you have because it changes 10 years later, where all of a sudden, wait, we were wrong. Now we have a whole bunch of things. We're saying now it's this way.
And that's happened so many times.
It's really difficult for people. You know, it's incredible. I mean, at the same level, I've seen people say, why drink celery juice? You're better off just putting a little bit of sea salt or a little bit of Himalayan rock salt right in your water and it'll do better. Because research in science doesn't know anything about celery juice. Research in science doesn't know anything about putting Himalayan sea salt in your water And then that's in the same breath, they'll say something research and science hasn't even studied yet either. And they'll say, well, make sure you do this. Put salt in your water. It's going to help you so much better than celery juice because there's no science behind celery juice. It's almost like, do you know what you just said? It's incredible. So
I didn't know there was so much hate for celery juice.
Well, you know what it is that
people got a lot of time on their hands. You got like hating on celery juice. It doesn't sound like the worst thing to hate.
When you have something this powerful
Yeah.
and moving forward to this degree and this fast, you got all the stores selling out with their celery. It's all going. You got farms scrambling to actually grow it as fast as they can and get land up and grow it and grow it. You know, farms don't make any money. I mean, they're all subsidized, most of them. You know how they struggle as it is. When you see all that, people start getting nervous. And then when celery juice is helping millions of people really fast, I think it's a threat in many ways to so many industries. So yeah, no, there's love for celery juice, tons of love out there. But also you got the people saying, hey, wait a minute, leave your fiber and pulp in there. No, leave your fiber and pulp in all the other vegetables and stuff. Use it. But this, extract it like a medicine.
Right. Tell me about some of the stories that you've seen in your life of people's transformations, whether it was from a chronic illness. Just tell me a couple, one or two stories or examples where you've really seen people who've transformed through celery juice.
Debilitating eczema, debilitating psoriasis, where people suffer, they can't wear clothes. They can't leave the house because they can't put clothing on their skin. And they're just doing the steroids. They've tried the steroids. They've tried different things. They've seen so many doctors. They suffer. Their skin's cracking and bleeding everywhere. And celery juice brought into their lives and used correctly, like I talk about in the celery juice book. And it gets them to clear it up. They start to see benefits. I mean, miraculous cases reversed. It's incredible. I'm not just talking about it got a little bit better. I know many cases, many of them over the years and now today, where they get rid of that debilitating eczema, where they were crying. They cried. They had to be on painkillers. They couldn't even move their arms and legs, and they got through it on the other side of it. Also debilitating chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, getting people forward with that. People with Lyme disease, celery juice is all of a sudden the very thing that's now changing everything with their diagnosis that they've got, or no diagnosis, where doctors are confused and they're just sick and they're home and they got high anxiety and depression. I've seen the celery juice do something for these people, but for decades I've seen it before it exploded, before the publication of the Medical Medium series books in 2015. You know, it was already building. It was a quiet storm. I think it snuck up on everybody. It snuck up on the world. I think this health trend, or whatever we want to call it now, has snuck up in a way and became a tidal wave just last year. It finally became this big tidal wave. And I always say to people, you know what? If you learn about it now, and you know, it's important. So
yeah, and I also think that it's a tidal wave for those who are really looking. And then there is a lot of us who are interested, but we don't find out until someone brings it to the front of our minds, the front of eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
It's like until someone really breaks it down for you, like you have in this book, like until someone really explains to you the process of why it works, how to take it, like you've done in this book. Like I feel like even then, if that doesn't happen, a lot of these trends just go over our heads.
Absolutely.
Right? And for
That's
most
true.
people, because these trends feel like it's still too hard.
Yeah.
Or it's like a short-term thing. Like, oh, I watched a video and I'm going to try it for a week, but I don't have a process.
Yeah.
Tell us about the process that you outline in this book and how you've made it so simple.
You know, there's over 100 questions always asked. How do I drink celery juice? What do I do? Do I put my blender with my other food?
I wanna know.
It's all that. It has to be by itself. It has to be by itself in a certain amount. 16 ounces is where you want to be to start with. It's 16 ounces of it, juiced, fresh. Very important. So you could juice it at home fresh, okay? You can go to a juice place. I do recommend don't do the HPP thing, which is high pressure pasteurization. I mean, there's nothing wrong with HPP. I mean, you can do other juices that are HPP. You go into health food stores, grocery stores, you see all those drinks. They look like they're really fresh. They look like they were just done yesterday, but they got a date on them for a couple of weeks because it's high pressure pasteurization. Now, I noticed that that's happening with celery juice. Don't get confused by that. Don't pick that one, because if you pick that one, it's going to be hindered. It's going to lose its It's healing benefits. It's potency. Exactly. You want it juice fresh. Go to your juice bars. Go to health food stores that will juice it right in front of you. Make sure it's done right there. Do it at home. And that's where the magic happens. So there is going to be, there is a confusion developing where, you get the bottled celery juice now sitting on there and people are like, well, that must be as good as everything else. And if they're not experiencing the benefits they need from drinking it, then they get thwarted by it. They get pushed off by it.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. I answer lots of questions. Can you do it while you're pregnant? Yeah, you can do celery juice. Can you do it while you're breastfeeding? Yes. So there's just so many questions. These are just a few.
Yeah, and it has to be consumed straight after. It can't be. That's why you think the bottle.
You want to. You can wait a little bit. You can wait hours later. You can even wait a day later. Have it in the fridge. And that will still be better than say something like in the store at high pressure pasteurization, on there with a long shelf.
But
date.
Ideally straight away.
Yeah.
Ideally that's going to have the most potency.
Yeah. And I talk about what's in it that hasn't been discovered yet. And if someone says, well, how would he know this voice he hears? How would I know Epstein-Barr was the cause of thyroid problems? And I was the guy long before talking about it everywhere, talking about it to doctors, talking about it, them publishing and everything else. And now they're saying, hey, science and research just found there's a link to Epstein-Barr to thyroid disease, thyroid disorders. Same thing with the celery juice. Yes. I hear the information. I know what's in it. There's something called sodium cluster salts. That's the antiviral. That's the phytochemical compound. It's this sodium cluster salt. Somebody might say, well, what is that? It's a subgroup of sodium undiscovered by research and science. You think that we only have one type of sodium, that's it on the planet, and that's it? No, there's more than that. It's a subgroup. It's a different thing going on in celery. It's not in anything else. They're going to find it down the road. They probably won't call it sodium cluster salts. They're not going to give me that credit. They're probably not going to pat me on the back and be like, yeah, they're going to name it something else, obviously. But that's what it is. It kills bugs. Here's the deal. I'll just simplify it. People are sick because they got bugs. That's it. Your Hashimoto's thyroiditis, your rheumatoid arthritis, bugs cause this. It's not your body attacking itself. It's bugs. It's pathogens. It's viruses. It's bacteria. So when people have their fibro, there's a bug involved. That's what this is. Chronic fatigue syndrome, there's a bug. So what's going on is we're filled with bugs. I know that's kind of annoying. We got viruses like Epstein-Barr. We got the simplexes in us wreaking havoc. We got the HHV6s. We have shingles viruses. We have bacteria. And people have these bugs in them. We live with them. They create inflammation. Meanwhile, the food wars that are going on, the vegans against the paleos and the keto and everything else, and everybody's fighting each other, but nobody realizes you guys are all dealing with Epstein-Barr's, dealing with streptococcus, you're dealing with strep and different viruses. And the reason why celery juice is working is because the sodium cluster salts in celery juice is annihilating a lot of bugs in people. It's breaking it down, it's killing them, it's cleaning up their livers, it's getting the bugs out of the livers, and that's why their inflammation is actually getting better and better.
Wow, amazing. And I was looking at something you were saying about how it's also stopping the vicious cycle of addiction.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. How does that work?
Well,
that seems like a totally different challenge in my head, at least, like from an uninformed point of view. So how is celery juice even helping people with addiction?
Well, you know what? It revives your liver. It starts to restore it. Your liver can actually hold more what's called glycogen, glucose, because that's what it needs to do. It needs to store glucose and glycogen, it's the very thing that runs our blood sugar throughout our body. And when our blood sugar is unstable and it's imbalanced, we tend to fall prey to addiction really easy. Plus electrolytes. We all lack electrolytes. So when you eat a food of any kind or you drink water, you get some electrolytes naturally occurring. Any kind of food you eat, there's a natural occurring electrolyte going on there, right? Mm-hmm. Well, those are pieces you're collecting all day long. What did you have for breakfast? There's some electrolytes in it. What did you have for lunch? There's a few more electrolytes in it. And then dinner, a few more, or during the day. There's electrolytes in things we're consuming, but we're never getting enough at once. We're never getting the whole electrolyte family at once, right on the neurons, right with the neurotransmitter chemicals using them, right? All of this happening. Celery juice is like a complete electrolyte, still undiscovered by research and science. Of course, research knows that there's antioxidants in celery juice. Of course, they know there's vitamin A and K in there. It's funny, and I've heard somebody say, maybe people are getting better because of the vitamin A and K. And I'm like, What about the vitamin A and K that's in every other fruit and vegetable? What about all of that? Plus all the supplements people you're still not moving forward. Why is this doing it?
Sure.
Does it have a different vitamin A and K? What it does have, though, is it has a full, complete electrolyte. It goes to the brain fast and easy, clings onto the neurons, revives tired, dehydrated neurotransmitter chemicals, starts to actually bring those back so your electrical impulses fire fast, so you can be quick talking, so you can actually hear, you can actually think what you're saying. It all comes, the brain fog goes away, everything starts clearing up. And when those electrolytes hit those neurons and spark that fire, and those electrical impulses are cruising through those neurons, and that is precious. That is like gold right there. And that's another reason why addiction could stop. So you want to bring it back to addiction. When those electrolytes are hitting all those neurons, your electrical impulses are firing and running through those neurons, and all that's happening, and you're starting to think clearer, and your brain fog's backing down, you don't fall prey to addiction right there. That alone. The blood sugar starts to balance out because your liver's healing and getting better. Your glucose reserves in your liver are storing back up so it can control part of the blood sugar problem that we deal with, because it's not just the pancreas. And when all that's happening, you get stronger. Your mind gets stronger. Your control gets stronger. You know what? You take control over your life. And that's what celery juice. If you want one simple thing from me right there, you know what? Use celery juice to help take control over your life. Absolutely. Because it can be one of those tools. I'm not saying it fixes everything and anything in one shot. I'm not saying this is literally the miracle that will fix it all. No, because everybody else is doing good things. This is that thing that pushes it over the edge.
Absolutely.
To where you need to go.
And that's your energy and your love for celery juice is infectious and contagious. I don't know anyone in this room right now who is not dedicated to at least testing it, which is awesome. But tell me about some of the lifestyle and diet habits that can cause a conflict or negate the amazing benefits of celery juice. What is it that we're doing in our lifestyle or our diet that could slow down or go against the benefits of celery juice?
All right, I'll tell you right now. Look, I know this is going to get everybody upset, okay, in the audience, but probably not everybody, but most everybody. If there's something to take out of your diet, wherever you stand, whatever aisle you're on, whatever diet belief system you are, that you're involved with, subscribe to, whatever it is, you need to take eggs out. So chicken eggs have to come out of your diet. Now, I hate to be the breaker of this news or the person that has to break this news to everybody, but what I want to tell you is the most important part, the most important part of this podcast probably for anybody to take in is we live with these bugs inside of us that create all of our illnesses. Whether it's not happening now, say we're younger, but it'll happen later when we're turning 40. It'll happen later when we're 45. It'll happen, whatever it is. We have these bugs in us, like the viruses and the bacteria, the pathogens that are in us. Eggs feed the pathogens. Bottom line, no matter what you believe in out there, whatever diet system, whatever you believe in, protein and macros, whatever you're talking about in your life that you believe in, whether you're trainers, whether you're nutritionists, whether you're doctors, whatever it is, just know that when you eat the eggs, it feeds the pathogens. And I hate to break it to everybody, but pathogens come from sources. They come from places. They come from petri dishes. They come from labs a long time ago. And you know how they were raised? They were raised by being fed food. One of the foods that fed them was chicken eggs. We eat the eggs, we feed our viruses, and we get sicker slowly over time. Celery juice is getting you better. It's killing pathogens. But if you keep on feeding your pathogens, then it's kind of working against you.
Right.
So that's a powerful tool right there.
That's crazy. Yeah. I haven't eaten eggs for 16 years, but I had no idea that. I've never heard anyone raise that about eggs before.
Yeah, well, it's information you're not going to hear anywhere else, and that's why people heal with medical medium information. Is because it's finally new information, information that is different, that no one even knew or thought about or understood. That's one of them right there. Wow. Same thing with the gluten. The gluten. Everybody thought gluten was just inflammatory. Nobody knew gluten actually is inflammatory because it feeds the bugs too.
Oh, wow.
I brought that to town.
Wow.
So whether anybody likes it or not, I brought that. And they may say, hey, well, he hears a voice, so I don't want that information. But no, guess what? They'll find that out pretty soon. I think even more people are talking about it. I think doctors are talking about it now because I've been putting it out there for so many years. The reason why people get sick on gluten and then someone else doesn't get sick on gluten, because you realize you can be 90 years old eating gluten your whole life. You could be like 50 years old. You've eaten it your whole life. You've never had a problem with gluten. And then someone can't even eat it at 16. 18, 25, and they have to take it out because they have certain pathogens inside their body that are feeding off of gluten itself and then creating inflammation. It's not the gluten creating it. So that's why that should be out too. You should get that out too. But there's a reason you should get gluten out. It's not like, oh, well, he's just saying no gluten because everybody says that. No, there's a reason. I know that reason. Learn about it. It'll help you.
Absolutely. Amazing. And are there any other lifestyle habits that could work against this?
It could work against it.
Where people are not
absolutely.
What I mean is, people are like, I'm not seeing the benefits.
Absolutely,
but you could be totally doing something else.
Incredible. No, an amazing question. Thank you for asking. So here's what you got to be concerned about when you're using celery juice. To not bombard your celery juice with food too close to it. If you're drinking your celery juice and it's not on an empty stomach, you're not getting the benefits.
So it has to be on an empty stomach.
Has to be on an empty stomach. 16 ounces on an empty stomach is critical. That's where morning is best. If you got to do the afternoon, fine, and try to keep food away from it. So if any lifestyle of eating, whatever you've adopted with any kind of food lifestyle whatsoever, you just need that celery juice on an empty stomach away from those other foods. That right there is critical too.
Morning or evening makes a difference? Or
morning's always best because that empty stomach in the morning, that hydrochloric acid gets built up, everything, and that's another part I want to talk about, that digestion, how the HCl builds up when you're drinking celery juice, why it builds up, how the stomach glands receive the celery juice and how they actually recharge and give you strong HCl, hydrochloric acid, and then you break down your food and your food doesn't rot inside of you and you actually get stronger at your digestion and your bloating goes down. That's another thing too that's really powerful.
Wow, that's super powerful. I had no idea about that. So with the having in the morning, how long after do you eat breakfast?
Okay, try to give 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes after the celery juice is great. Okay, half an hour, probably even better. Somewhere around 20 minutes to a half an hour. I like a half an hour really being solid like that. But if someone needs fuel and they're doing something or they're running out of the house or whatever, I totally understand it. But try to do empty stomach. Try not to do coffee with it. Try not to put anything in that celery juice. If you throw apple cider vinegar in it, you just killed it. Right. Just killed it.
Lemon, apple
If you
cider
throw something
vinegar,
else in it, I saw somebody out there saying, I'm going to put my collagen powder in here. I'm like, you just destroyed your celery juice. You're not going to see the benefits. So you can't, you have to keep it clean.
And not multiple times per day, just once a day.
No, you do the celery juice once a day, but I like a lot of people that have chronic illness do it twice a day.
Okay.
32 ounces. Do at the beginning 16 ounces, do 16 ounces at the end of the day. Absolutely. And try not to have it with food. That's the goal. But the truth is, you get the celery juice in you any way you possibly can, you're going to get some benefits, but these are maximizing it. This is why the book's critical. The book gives you all the information to how to really do this right. And if you think there isn't a lot of information to it, wait till you read the book and then your mind is blown and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe what can be done with celery juice, including like oral therapies and stuff for problems that people have. Like they have, ulcers and all this stuff in their mouth. And this book is actually explained so much. And here's the most important part I love about this book is that there's almost 200 symptoms and conditions I talk about inside this book and what celery juice can do for it and why it's working. So if you have something you're suffering with, I talk about how the celery juice is helping you.
And I love, one of the things I do love about the book, seeing as I don't think there's ever been an audio file that has the word celery mentioned more than this one right now, which is awesome, which I love. But what I love about the book is you also have a whole chapter dedicated to if people can't access celery and alternatives that they can take.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really refreshing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, wow, this is, it's a book about celery juice, but you're like, hey, if you can't get it, I mean, and I don't know why people can't get it, but maybe you can tell me that. But if there are places people can't access it, you suggest some alternatives.
Yeah,
share those with us.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way to get celery juice. You can't get it. It's not even possible, or it's just not around. And there's nothing you can do. There's other things you can do. I like the cucumber juice. It won't do what celery juice does. I don't want anybody confused, but it does some different things. It hydrates the body in a different way than anything else could out there. It does hydrate the body. It does things that are really good for us. It's very cleansing, very purifying. It won't do what celery juice does, but it can be something you do for a week before you can find the celery juice again. So, juicing cucumbers is actually helpful. And someone said to me recently, said, okay, so what? So let's just start juicing different things, and that's gonna no. This cucumber juice isn't gonna do it. It just isn't. But it's one of those backups to get you by for a little bit, like a week or a few days, but that's about it. I mean, honestly, it's gonna have to be the celery juice, or it's really in the end no go for what you're really what you're really doing.
And I know you cover it in here, but I wanted to raise this because I know so much, not just of my audience, but just so many people in the world today. We're reading studies about it all the time: mental health, depression, anxiety, stress. What's celery juice doing on a deeper level for stress, anxiety, and depression?
Well, it's the ultimate adrenal, stabilizer. That's the other thing with this celery juice. I mean, it's so helpful. You got the electrolytes, got the sodium cluster salts, you got the heavy electrolytes in there. And adrenals need that. That's so important. The other thing is brain. That's the other thing. When you're dealing with electrolytes and neurotransmitter chemicals, electrical impulses, and that's in neurons, you're talking about de-stressing. Because here's the deal. Our brains get dirty toxins in them, heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, lead, nickel, copper. They get into our brain. Someone said to me, they were like, hey, I don't have any metal in my head. What are you talking about? I said, did you ever have a fluoride treatment? Did you ever have a fluoride? I had tons of those all through my life. I go, that's a byproduct of aluminum right there. Byproduct of aluminum means it's still aluminum. It is part aluminum in a different form. It goes to the brain directly. So when you have that fluoride treatment, you're getting aluminum in there. It's in there. Has it left? No. There's nothing you're doing in your life to remove it. We also get mercury in the brain really easy. We come into this world with mercury in us from our forefathers and foremothers. Well, that's the whole thing. Our ancestors give us mercury. It's passed down. It doesn't leave. It gets constantly passed down generation to generation to generation. And it sits in us, and it sits in our brain. It sits in other places, and it even can trigger off higher anxiety in people. It can trigger off depression, having that mercury, having those other metals inside of us. And we collect them here. They're in our water. They're in other sources. We just get it in us. Celery juice helps loosen up those metals, stops them from oxidizing so they don't rust in our brain, so they don't break down our brain tissue, our glial cells, and other parts of our brain. It's critical. It's just such a critical part of anxiety and depression. Celery juice does help with it.
And I love that because we're talking about this simple antidote in one sense, which is actually impact mental and physical health, which is actually quite rare because usually we look at them as separate. Usually it's like, okay, I do this for my body and I do this for my mind. Yeah. But here you've got one thing that's actually helping both.
Yeah. I've run across so many people and seen it throughout the years, and you see it on the internet now. My depression is alleviating. My anxiety is getting better. Things are getting better just from doing the celery juice. Crippling anxiety is so debilitating. People can't leave their houses. I've seen people suffer so greatly over the years, and when you don't have anxiety, you may not realize what they're going through. You may not know what they're going through when you don't have anxiety, because it's hard to get into that person's shoes. When you don't have it yourself, it doesn't really make sense. What do you mean you have anxiety? What do you mean you can't function? What do you mean you can't get out of the house and get in the car and you got to take anxiety medication? Because here's the deal. When you haven't been to a lot of doctors and you haven't struggled with your health, it's hard to get in touch with the ones that are struggling. Mm-hmm. It's an entirely different crew. When I get interviewed a lot, when media interviews me and I tell them, chronic illness, people are suffering, they're struggling. They never put that in there ever. That's why I have tremendous respect for your podcast, for what we're doing right here, because I'm able to talk about the ones that I fight for every 100%. Single day. Because that's what I do. That's what I do. I fight for the people who are chronically ill and they don't get heard. That's the thing. I've been a messenger for them. I've been a voice for them all these years, to the people that are smart enough to know science and research hasn't had the answers for them. And doctors know that they haven't had the answers that they needed to move forward, and they suffered and struggled. Anxiety is one of those pieces of it. It's crippling. It can really stop someone from enjoying their life, not enjoying working, functioning, taking care of things, going to school. And, you know, I've seen people, hey, my anxiety is starting to alleviate a little bit more, and it's worth everything. It is worth, even if you knock down that anxiety down 50%, 25%, the difference is someone being able to stay out all day or work a day in their career or start writing or do something with their life. Think about how empowering that is. And celery juice, when that does that for somebody with anxiety and you see that happen, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight for the celery juice. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to put myself on the firing line. Let's get this stuff out there more and more for people.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, that it's really been this organic emerging thing. Like it's happened organically. It hasn't been funded. It hasn't had any money put into it. It's not an investment. It's been organic.
It's
growing
the first of its
through healing
time.
people, which is amazing. But you've also had organically a lot of celebrities and influencers reach out to you
who've
who've become fans of your work and supporters of your work.
Yeah, and you know, I was asked recently too about this, and they said, "Well, what are they being paid to do it?" Said, "There's not one celebrity that got anything."
I was going to ask you that.
Oh no, I know, but it's a really good point because people think it. They're like, "What are they getting out of this?" What do you mean? What are they getting out of this? So let me tell you something about the celebrities that I know. Anyway, okay, I'm going to be straight out. Okay, they actually care about people suffering. They actually have tremendous compassion. They actually care about their fans, their followers. They care about people on the planet, and they really, really do. It matters to them. They're drinking celery juice. It makes them feel better, and it gets them healthier, right? So they can be a more powerful voice in what they're doing, changing the world. But it's even more than that. The celebrities I know, James Vanderbeek and, you know, and Jenna Dewan and so many others, you know, and Sly Stallone and so many others, they care about people. They want people to feel better. It matters to them. And
because they've been through pain too.
Absolutely. They've been through a lot in their own lives. And so when they see people, you know, that are struggling, that are getting better because they know they're spreading that information about celery juice, it matters. It matters to their souls. You know, it matters to everybody to know that people are getting better. Celebrities have tremendous compassion. The ones I know, unbelievable people, and it's just great that they're doing. You know, Pharrell, you know, he's out there. He cares about people, cares about humankind, and this right here, it's not measurable. It's unmeasurable. It's that powerful. It's that incredible.
I love it, man. This podcast has been such an education for me. And I hope that everyone listening and watching, I've been able to ask some of those questions that you'll be thinking about too, because I'm coming at a point of just learning, being a student and someone who wants to experiment with this. So all of my questions have been from my own desire to be an experimenter with this. I'm excited to see its impact on my life. And I'm hoping everyone listening and watching today has got some of the information to get you going. But I really, really hope that you're going to go and get the book, because the book's going to break it down for you. And the book's going to stop you from doing a 1-week test, which is a fad, to actually making it sustainable. And one of the biggest reasons I see the difference between us having a habit that we do for 1 week versus sustainable is when we're deeply convinced of the reasons. When you've sat here and you've read this book, and after you've read this book, if you haven't got every reason you need to go and drink celery juice for the rest of your life, then that will be harder to give up. Whereas if you just think, oh yeah, I'm going to try this. This is cool. Celery juice, good podcast. I loved it. And you're going to try it for a week and you're going to stop. So take my recommendation, go get the book, get the deeper reasons and insights on how to take it, why to take it, and what to do with your life around it to support it. And that will start making the biggest differences, I feel. So we're going to end this episode with the final 5. These are final 5 questions. Usually answers are either 1 word or 1 sentence maximum. So this is going to be a big challenge for Anthony, because he's so, what I love about you, just have so much to say, but it's all it's all in depth. Like it's real. Your insights are awesome. So I'm going to try and get you to 1 word or 1 sentence, but we're going to see how it goes. So question number 1 is, what's the biggest health myth you've ever heard?
There's so many of them. Tell
us your favorite one.
All right. Metabolism.
Okay, go on. I'm going to let you tell me more.
Metabolism.
You've got so much to do.
Metabolism just means that we're alive. The discovery of metabolism just means that we're alive. We're living. We have blood flowing through us. Okay? And that, no one really knew that really. Metabolism was just the discovery of, hey, you're eating, you're burning fuel, you're a living organism, you're a living being, right? But it's not why people gain weight, slow metabolism. And that's one of the greatest myths out there. They're gaining weight from livers that are stagnant and sluggish. Everybody's livers are bombarded. They're toxic. That's why I came out with Liver Rescue, the book, because their livers are challenged and they're filled with toxins And that's what puts the weight on. That's what makes things the lymphatic system gets swollen with water. The weight comes on, the belly fat. It's from a weak liver, sick liver, stagnant, sluggish liver. It's not from metabolism. Still to this day, I'm sure everybody in the audience right now, my God, who's been totally just fed metabolism for the last 30, 40, 50, whatever it is, they're just going to be all upset. But I just trying to drop the truth on you on that one. It's a liver. You take care of your liver, and you take care of that, and then everything starts getting better with weight and what we think is metabolism problems.
Amazing. Yeah, you're going to the root. I like it. Okay, question number 2. If you could give everyone in the world a habit to do for 30 days, apart from drinking celery juice every day, what would it be?
The heavy metal detox smoothie I offer.
Okay.
Get the metals out. Get them out of the body. That's the key. I mean, okay, there's so many different habits you can do. I get it. There's so many for your consciousness, so much for just mental, so much different physical ones you can do. But getting metals out, that's the habit right there. Get some cilantro in you. Get some spirulina in you. Know the right ones, the ones I care about, because those are the ones that actually work. Get some things in you. Pull the metals out. I talk about it. The heavy metal detox smoothie, that's the one right there. You pull metals out, things change too. It's like the celery juice, the heavy metal detox smoothie. Get into that habit. Get into the celery juice habit. There you go.
Awesome. Question number 3. What are the top 3 things on your grocery list?
Celery. Celery's okay. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one, wild blueberries.
Okay.
That's the second one right there.
Because?
Wild blueberries, the antioxidants.
Okay.
That's a whole nother food. Wild versus cultivated blueberry. The one in the clamshell, the pint-sized clamshell, that is the cultivated blueberry. It's the big blueberry. It doesn't do a fraction of what the frozen wild blueberry. You go into the freezer section, and you go in there, you'll see different brands. I mean, I use the Wyman's one. There's another brand that's there. There's different brands, but you get the frozen wild blueberries. That's oh my God, that food. So celery, that, and I love apples.
Okay.
It's got to be a must. Yeah.
Give me another one. Let's have one more, seeing as we go for 4.
All right, papaya.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another one. And then mosh.
Okay.
People call it mache, but mosh. It's a green. It's an amazing green. There's not enough of it out there, but you can find it. Go to the health food store. That green is great. Leafy greens are good.
Awesome. Okay, question 4. Tell us about the top 3 herbs that you couldn't live without.
Lemon balm, can't live without it. Helps the neurological system. I've used it to actually help people with anxiety, depression, of course, but also with neurological problems, tics, spasms, tingles, numbness. It's antiviral too, like celery juice. When you bring that lemon balm in there, it's a big deal. That one. Nettle leaf, another incredible herb without a doubt. I've been recommending it since I was a kid because of spirits. It's literally right off the start recommending it. So nettle leaf, that's anti-inflammatory, of course. Why? It also is antiviral in its own right. Great medicine. And of course, turmeric. Which is a spice, but in a rhizome, but turmeric. It's amazing. So I like that one, even though it's, but you got lemon balm, nettle leaf, and then licorice root's another one I love.
Amazing. And the final 5, question 5, what's the best way we can all start listening to our body more? Because I think for so many of us, we're constantly going through changes, right? We're constantly you could be going through pain and just having it there and sit there for so long without listening. How do people, we may not all be able to listen to spirits or channel or learn, but how can we all listen to our bodies better?
There's one thing that people have to realize, it's one of the most incredible ones, that when we get sick, it's not our body letting us down. It's not our bodies being faulty. It's not our body being a bad physical, aspect of us. It's not our body giving up on us. And most importantly, it's not our body destroying us or going after our immune system or going after our organs or going after anything. What I'm trying to say is your body doesn't hurt you. It doesn't destroy you. It doesn't go after anything. And we need to know that our body never attacks itself. And it's the first thing everybody thinks. They think their body's failing. So no matter what, okay, there's one of the greatest tools is if you start experiencing anything, mental, emotional, physical, your body is not going after you
Love that.
or hurting you or attacking you. That's the most important that can protect you, because we can't, there's people out there, you can tell them what to do on how to listen to their body or anything, but they might not be able to do it, or they might be too busy or forget it. But what they will do is their body's letting them down. The minute as an athlete, you think your body's failing you. Anything, it's just in life, when we're sick, we think our body has now said, hey, we're not helping you. I'm not helping you. And that's it. If you know your body loves you unconditionally, it's there for you. It's fighting for you in ways you cannot even imagine. That can bring you peace and get you to where you need to be faster and better.
Well, I was not expecting that answer, but I love that answer. That judgment that we place on our body immediately is actually one of the most negative things.
It is.
Like that language.
It's the most.
That language around my body's attacking me, my body's letting me down, my body's failing.
Yes.
My body's not strong enough.
Yes.
That language is actually programming us to lead to not doing anything about it.
It's an evil seed that sits inside every human being. So
That
no
is
matter
awesome.
what you're doing, whether you're meditating on top of a mountain, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. The minute something's going wrong, you go right to, my body is now, wait a minute, turning against me in the moment. And what do I need to do to fix it? No, it's not turning against you. That's how it works.
That is such an awesome answer, man. I absolutely love that. And I hope that message is resonating very, very clear. The way we think about our body, talk about our body, talk to our body itself is going to have a huge impact. Anthony William, thank you so much. Anthony's new book, Celery Juice, the most powerful medicine of our time, healing millions worldwide, is out right now. You can order it from all the good places where books are sold. The Medical Medium on Instagram, the Medical Medium on Facebook. Where else can they find you?
Hey, there, and medicalmedium.com.
Also,
Get to me right there. Yeah, that's a great place
Brilliant.
to go.
Make sure you go follow Anthony on social media at The Medical Medium across the platforms, medicalmedium.com. And make sure that if this has given you some insight on why celery juice could be so powerful, it could truly change your life, go and get the book today as well. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here.
No, it's an honor to meet you, man. I'm excited to do a reading with you and get some advice. I genuinely am. I want to do that next time we're here.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said is so true, that until we really go through pain, and that's how it was for me too. Because I felt like I'd mastered my mind and neglected my body.
Yeah.
And so when my body started to give me signs that it needed more love and care, that's when I started to realize, because while you're young, you just feel like Superman. And you feel like nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
And so I totally get you. And so if anyone here is listening and you're like, well, I haven't got any problems yet, or my life's not too bad, that's the time to start really taking note.
It is.
But yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to meet you. Happy to have you here.
Blessed.
Hope that was good for you.
I mean,
And we're not going to edit anything out. So everyone's going to get the real, raw, as it is version of this conversation. If you're listening to this right now, you're going to get it as it is. We haven't edited anything. We haven't taken anything out. That was awesome. That was Anthony William. Make sure you go follow him on social media. Thank you so much for listening or watching again. We love you being a part of this community. Make sure you tag me and Anthony on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and share what you've learned from this podcast. We'd also love to see your journeys. If you want to map your diary of taking celery juice for a week, 2 weeks, a month, hopefully for life and for the rest of the year, then make sure you tell us about it. Tag at Medical Medium and tag me as well on Instagram. I'd love to see those posts. Thank you again so much. Take care. See you soon. If you want even more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click on the boxes over here. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now get my book, Think Like a Monk, from thinklikeamonkbook.com. Check below in the description to make sure you order today.
Whatever it may be that you've struggled from as someone in a position of vulnerability or feeling taken advantage of, there is such a strength that comes from that low. And I am a firm believer of utilizing that and harnessing that strength to create something that is instrumental in your lives and in the lives of other people.
Let's start at that. I just want to get to the heart of how you were able to do it, because I think for a lot of people listening, they want to be more comfortable being alone. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to create their own version of success, not be dictated by the one that's been brought about by their parents or society or their industry. How did you do that?
Oh my goodness. I think it stems from the initial feeling of being uncomfortable. And knowing that you just don't want to be in that space for very long, right? So you start to look for resources to help you get out of being uncomfortable. I'd say from a young age, I was very independent. I didn't have I had a great family and I had a great upbringing as a whole, but there was a lot of unstable elements. My parents were not a good ideal marriage. I guess scenario growing up, I didn't see what marriage and what a compatible relationship really looked like. And I learned to, at that point, sort of take control of my own life and taking care of my brother, make sure that I always made money. I was a little kid hustler. It was really weird if I think back to the things that I was doing, like making clothes, selling clothes, rhinestoning, anything that was popular at the time. I learned to do it very quickly. People wanted braids, people wanted their ears pierced. I was all over the place. Okay. When I think about it, I'm just to make school lunch, money for lunch, or when I was vegan, I had to buy my own groceries. So I learned okay, I'm having a garage sale this weekend because I want to get Follow Your Heart mayo. You know what I mean? Everything was one for one. And I learned that it wasn't going to happen on its own. So regardless of my upbringing and sort of the chaos that was going on at home, which at the time I thought was normal. And which is even more weird. I knew it was weird and I knew it was uncomfortable and I knew that they weren't a good fit for one another, but I accepted it and I sort of became my own adult at a young age. Meanwhile, I'm acting. I'm in an adult world. I didn't go to high school. I really wasn't even in middle school for very often. I was on a series at the time. I was the only kid on the show. So I went to school in a trailer, a tiny trailer, just me and this incredibly political teacher that wanted to push every election on this 14, 15-year-old kid. So learn a little about that and what not to do.
Wow.
And I think one of the things I learned very quickly was, like I said, I had control over certain things. So I started to control what I ate to a point where it was unhealthy. Did go through an eating disorder while being on a show. I've never really admitted that, but yeah, I dropped down significantly. I mean, I must have been at one point my lowest, 15, 16 years old, 70 something pounds. I was on a CBS series, so the network was not happy. And in order to appease them, they did so much to try and help. They made sure that I had tons of vegan food and smoothies. They made sure I was going to meetings in the morning. I was so confused. I didn't think I had a problem. I wasn't being honest with myself. I was trying to sort of cope with being very quickly emerged into an adult world while knowing that I had a brother who was sort of still in the home scenario that wasn't healthy and wanted to help him and wanted to help my family, and realized that I need to be making a lot of money because money is going to help all of this. And so the drive was on another level. And having control over the things that I could, which was food and working out and staying as busy as I could and being as motivated as I could, really drove me to skin and bones. But I saw the light pretty quickly, and I'm going to be so honest about that. I'm so grateful that I have this consciousness in me where I don't need to go down a rabbit hole very long to learn that the bottom is up. And I learned that I had no choice but to be healthy. And that's where I started to talk more about health. And that's when I really started to lean on what I was and what gave me purpose and what made me happy. And speaking up for animals and taking jobs that I knew were positive and fun and interesting and not dark and deep and too far stretched from the imagination was what I wanted to do. I became very selective in what I worked on. I then ended up on Nickelodeon, therefore, because I knew that that's family friendly, that's happy, that's colorful, that makes me feel good. I'm getting in the lives of children, which for me, that's a game changer. I love children. I think they're the future, and I want to have a significant role in their lives. I took being on Nickelodeon so seriously that I knew being a role model meant everything to me. I'm a big sister. I'm the oldest of my cousins. And being on a show where I knew kids were watching meant that I had a position in their lives, that I was someone that they could look up to. And so that's been really powerful. And to this day, I still have young kids, teens, adults, you know, that grew up watching me on the last 12 years of being on Nickelodeon come up to me and have nice things to say. And I just want to keep that trajectory going. That's really important to me.
But that's amazing that you see it as a responsibility almost, because you know that people are watching you, people are seeing you as a role model. As I said earlier, this show for me is really to talk to real models, people who can express their reality, and people who I think are real models for the world to follow. You're definitely one of them in so many areas of your life. But I think it's really special that you took it as a responsibility, because I think it's so easy at that age to be on Nickelodeon, to have fame, to have success, and to just enjoy it. Like, it's like, why do you even need to care about anyone else? Because you've worked hard to get there. But it seems like you've always just had this responsibility in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because sometimes I wish that I had a little bit more of that, because I find myself wanting to help so much along the way and wanting to get to a certain place so that I could help more people, that I don't celebrate the small victories in the timeline, you know, like I just kind of know that there's so many people and so many animals and so many resources in the planet. I mean, you could go down forever, right? Like you can think about, and I think for me, one of the things that is always in the back of my head is my family and the people that sort of suffer with things in my family. My brother, who feels like he's almost like my own child, he suffers with addiction and has been homeless for probably on and off for about a year or two. Sorry. I've never actually spoke about it. So that for me, to see that in my own four walls, and like the closest thing to me, the kid who, I mean, he slept in my room the majority of my life. He had his own bedroom, but he slept in my room on a trundle bed because I feel like I was like his safety net. So I've learned that I want to be that because I know that I have that capability, and I want to be that for more people. You know, I could be that for him, and I could do as much as I possibly can, but I want to help people before they get to a place where it's harder to make a change. So I've really tried to make that a big goal of mine.
Yeah, and in a big way.
Yeah.
I think, thank you for sharing that, by the way. I'm sure it wasn't easy. And yeah, thank you for being so open and vulnerable and just sharing so genuinely here, because I don't think that you're someone that ever hides anything. I never feel that way. Like when I'm following you on Instagram or I see any of the content you're making, it's just from the heart. It feels that way to me anyway. And when I'm hearing you today, I'm actually loving learning about you even more, because it's only making me appreciate everything else you do.
Thank you.
And it's crazy because I align with so much of what you're saying in my own life. So my sister's nickname that I've given her is Kid, because I treat her as my kid, like my child. So it's so funny that you said that about your brother. And similarly in our parents, I felt I mediated my parents' marriage growing up. So I can definitely resonate with that. And then I resonate with something else. I'm listening to you and I'm just going like, wow, there's so much in common. And I know you were saying it earlier when we were outside, but it was the same as the not celebrating little wins.
Yeah.
I rarely do that because I see how much work that needs to be done in the world. So I'm constantly focusing on what's next to solve, or not what's next to heal, what's next to have an impact on.
Totally.
Where do you kind of see that going, or how do you want that to grow? Because I mean, we haven't even started talking about all the great activism work you're doing, which I think is important for people listening to know. But how do you see yourself kind of transforming those elements we've just spoken about now, moving forward? How do you want them to change?
Sure. So I've been sort of, in a lot of ways I've earned, but I've also been given this platform just from really being on TV and being in people's lives and feeling like they're connected to me. So I want to utilize that. I want to grow that, and I want to utilize that for the good. I think that, yes, I'm invested in these companies, and I like to call them conscious companies because they're not purely just for the monetary investment. They're there because I see a bigger picture. So companies like Outstanding Foods, I know that they have a direct effect in the lives of animals, not to mention the health and the other trickle effects that come along with it. But companies like Sugar Taco.
Yeah.
I believe in making vegan food, healthy, organic vegan food that tastes delicious, accessible at a good price point. Because that's an argument of people's, they have this idea that veganism is too expensive. It's not attainable. It's not realistic for a normal person's lifestyle. That is what I want to scratch right off the bat. That is so far from the truth. And I feel like, just not to go down another rabbit hole, but
do it.
Spending money on what you put into your body, much like spending the time and whatever investment you make to work out or health, wellness, whatever that means, meditating, whatever that investment you're making has such a huge impact in the big picture of your life. A lot of people spend all this money on healthcare, on pills, on things to make this instant fix in their lives, when if you just do a little bit of the work along the way and you're really being mindful of how you create you as a whole and what you do to help yourself thrive, that is a non-factor. I don't know, knock on wood, but I don't know the last time I've seen a doctor, spent money at a pharmacist, all of the above. Never. I don't even take an Advil, Tylenol, nothing.
Wow.
But I really do believe that a lot of that is because I make conscious efforts to drink water, to work out, to love myself, to meditate, to do something that makes me feel whole and balanced. So that goes along without saying, right? With these conscious companies, like if you can make these baby steps along the way and they become easy to implement into your lifestyle, then hopefully the bigger picture is that someone will gravitate towards either eating plant-based or taking better care of themselves and so on and so forth. So that's sort of the companies that I've invested in thus far. I have a couple that are on the ground level startups, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Where it's, it's
and
not,
I'm excited.
Right?
As a consumer, as a future customer.
I appreciate that. I'm so
excited. But I love the way you do it, because if you don't follow Daniela on Instagram, you should go and follow her, because you make it fun. It's not preachy.
Thank you.
It's never condescending. You never sound like you're better than anyone, or you've got it right, or you've got it figured out. It always comes from that space of you make it look fun. I saw you on your recent video, you went on the streets out with the big pig mascot.
Yeah.
And you were out with Pig Out Bacon. And I loved it. I was just like, this energy is so fun. And even the fact, when we were speaking about it earlier and you mentioned it now about how you've focused on making vegan food accessible and affordable, I just think the way you're thinking is so far ahead.
Good,
you're so far ahead of how others are thinking about helping people.
Thank you.
And I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just think that there's so many people that are underserved. And there's these stereotypes that go along with that, right? You don't make a lot, you have to eat a certain way. They pump these saturated cities that are lower income with the McDonald's, with the Jack in the Box, with the elements that these people can afford, right? They're not serving these communities in the right way. That's setting people up for the opposite of success. So to create awareness via social media and using your voice or the platform that you have to implement these different lifestyle changes along the way, I think that person tells their friend, tells their mom, that's the way that I think. So the more honest I can be with people about how I live, and really it's just how I live. It's not like perfect in any means, but it's just, for me, it's worked. And when something works, I just want people to know. And I think it's our right to share with people and help people along the way. Because why wouldn't you? If you're thriving in your own right, then why wouldn't you share whatever tips or tricks that you have? And so I've sort of started a little pet project just on Instagram called Daniela's Digest. And it kind of goes in different terms of the word, right? So it's yes, what we put into our body and we digest it and all those kind of things. But also in general, I just want to break down different articles and different facts and share inspiring messages. And eventually I see myself interviewing people in this space, the health and wellness space, but also just always reminding ourselves to keep it light and fun.
Yes.
Because that's how I got into these people's lives. I'll never forget that. I do sitcom, I do comedy, that's my forte. And that's the approach I have in life. If we can't laugh at it, even if it is deep and dark and scary, we have to find the light, or else there's no optimism. There's no potential for change or innovation. You have to constantly be kind of seeking out the light, even in the darkest of times. And that's what I want this platform to sort of be. And I want that to resonate with people. If they're feeling like they're not motivated today, or they need a nudge, like that's what I want to be there to do. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, go find it on Instagram, Daniela's Digest, right? Yeah, I had it down on the notes. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you're doing that. And I can agree with you more. My whole reasoning behind doing video at a time when most people in the health and wellness space were doing courses, or they were writing books, and they were speaking, and I was just like, we need to get this out to everyone. And my whole goal when I first started making videos was to make content that was at the pace of entertainment. So I wanted it to feel like a short movie. I wanted it to feel like a song. I wanted it to feel like entertainment as opposed to education.
Yeah.
But for it to have insightful messages within it. Now I'm not funny, so I had to make meaningful videos that are not comedic. But I love it when comedy or anything is used from the point of view of. I love it when comedy or any of this is viewed with the point of getting people towards the light. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm so glad you're doing that. We need that more and more and more.
Thank you.
Yeah, we genuinely need that more and more.
Thank you.
And I think the more of us that use our platforms and our skills and the talents that we have in whatever way it is to make things accessible, easy, relevant to everyone in the world, the more likely we're going to see it.
Yeah.
See it take
100%.
off.
I mean, they exist for a reason, and you could use them however you choose. And I choose to think I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time, and I'm going to try to make some good out of it.
Yeah.
I want to do that for people. And
you are.
Thank you. So, I mean, please, you're preaching to the choir. Okay. It's been so awesome to be able to see the content that you're creating. And honestly, it never stops at that. Like I love the word trickle effect, because I feel like that is the perfect word to explain what is happening in our generation and in the generation of social media. You just never know. And I think the unknown in that regard is optimism. And that's what I'm sort of striving for, is more of that.
Yeah, I wanted to pick that out because I think so many people in our generation also have a negative view of social media.
Yeah.
And I find that's because we're so consumed by it rather than using it purposefully. And so we find that people actually feel they're wasting. I know I saw a study that said people are wasting about 6 hours a day on social media, doing something meaningless or insignificant. Where do you get your optimism for social media and the trickle effect? I know I get it, but how did you get to that point where you were like, actually, social media is helping, it can work?
I think it started with realizing, it's no different than taking that few minutes for yourself in the beginning of the day to drink your coffee or read a magazine or whatever it may be, watch the news. You're getting some sort of information to sort of, and that really does trigger what's your day's going to be like, what's going to sort of ignite that spirit in you. And so I think people can use social media to do just that. They just have to curate the right social media that they're sort of funneling into themselves. And that's why I feel like accounts like yours are that is the proof in the pudding right there. Starting your day off, and I know that you're strategic about when you post, because when I turn my phone on and it's the first video I see, I'm grateful because I know that that's what my brain needs to absorb. If I'm going to choose to use social media, I'm going to choose to sort of put these positive images and these positive messages into me rather than seeing, I hate to say it because no discount to them, they're a hustler in their own right, and I'm sure they have their own purpose in mind, but I don't need to see 100 different beauty bloggers and OOTDs to make myself feel like I'm good, good enough. It doesn't do that for me personally. And some people do resonate with that. But personally, my goals are so different than that. And so I think for someone out there who looks at social media in a negative way, be sure that you're using social media to benefit you and you're not just a consumer. And maybe take the approach of trying to create before you consume. I think that that's a really good tool to go about, because creating something that can have its own trickle effect makes you feel like you're part of a bigger purpose. Consuming social media, unless you're using it purposefully, can really weigh on you.
So well said.
Oh, thank you.
So well said. Create before you consume. I totally agree. When you're part of something, when you're part of creating something, it doesn't take you away from anything, right? When you're part of creating what everyone else is seeing. And I have to say that I get motivated by Daniela's extreme workout regimes. Like, I'm just like, wow, I need to. Yesterday you were pushing a truck.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, what? I was like, oh my God, like you pushed it and then you were chasing it.
Yeah.
And then you ran around it.
Oh, goodness.
And I was just like, wow, this is so epic. I was so impressed by it. I was
Thank you.
But it's great. But that discipline you have, and I feel the same way about yours. You post so many and you do make it funny too. Like I remember there was a time when you were eating avo toast every day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm a huge avo toast fan. So
Yeah.
it was just I couldn't agree with you more. I think also when you're also able to connect, I find that the thing I love about social media is that you really attract the energy you create. You really attract the energy you put out. So if you're always putting out positive, meaningful messages, whether they're comedic or whether they're from my side more inspirational or positive, whatever they may be, you start attracting people. And that's how we connected.
Yeah.
Like we met once, but then I was following you on social media. I was like, oh wow, we aligned so much. And then we had a relationship built up out of social media.
Yeah.
And we've not met often. This is, in fact, probably the second time we've been together, but I feel like I know you so well. And that's what I've loved about it, that when I've accelerated a relationship, and I say this to everyone, if you built up a good connection with someone online, go offline as soon as you can. Like try and meet with that person for coffee or have lunch together or whatever it is, obviously verifying that they're real and all the rest of it. But go and do that, because you're going to build an amazing relationship with that person. You know, don't let it just be online. If you can go and meet that person, do it.
I love that piece of advice. I think that's so great. And especially in this time where so many people can go years or longer with just having these not fictional, they're real relationships, but without putting a face to the name and having that physical connection. I think there's so much more that can come of that. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
I want to go back to when you were talking a bit about your parents and growing up, and now obviously you're engaged.
Yeah.
You got engaged last December, you were sharing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I was lucky enough to meet your fiance as well, which was awesome when we first met. And you guys are just so cute together.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. We work at it.
Yeah.
That's, it's the biggest part of it, right? You want something so bad, you work at it. We just connected. We work well together for the most part, and I think we support one another's endeavors and we respect each other's independence, but we're very much a unit. I know we were talking earlier because a lot of people ask me about the wedding, and there's so much of that on social media. These big moments, these big chapters in your life are celebrated to the nines. I mean, the likes, the comments, the excitement around the buildup of an engagement or a proposal or a wedding or whatever. It almost makes you feel like everything in the middle is insignificant, which I think is such a misconception, because it's the day-to-day that feels like the real success in a relationship.
Wow.
We can all have these moments where we celebrate one another, and everyone around us is celebrating our love, and there's so much just anticipation around that. But really, it's the day-to-day grind. It's no different than building a company. It's that day-to-day grind that inevitably sets you up for a successful business or relationship. And I feel like we're doing that. And the wedding is not on the forefront of my mind. I'm really more focused on being the right fit and the right partnership. And on that note.
Yeah.
So I think that's like my main focus, is just being the right fit and having the right partnership together.
What do you guys do to do that? What's your approach? What have you learned? How long have you been together?
We've been together almost 8 years.
Amazing. So you've been together for 8 years. So that anyone who's listening, that's real experience.
Yeah.
That's not, that's not just, we've been together for a year. So you've been together for 8 years. What have you learned? What has worked for you? What can help other people?
He was my first relationship. So when I say I've learned, I have learned, okay? In terms of the moving in together and having this co-lifestyle was easy. That was easy peasy. I love it, which is interesting, right? Most people are like, moving in is a very, it could go one of two ways. And for us, it was like, I love to nurture and I love to nest. And anyone who's around me and comes over, I I crave that taking care of element. Like that's something that feeds my soul. So easy, that fit right in. I think for me, I have an independence element that I've established since a young age. And so being in a relationship, sometimes that can be a little bit of a tricky element, but he's also an entrepreneur in his own right. So we sort of balance each other out. Like I found that person who can respect that quality in me and lifts that quality up rather than saying, oh yeah, it's another dream or whatever, like, so we work at it, and we've been figuring out how to communicate along the years, and like that changes as you evolve as humans, and it's been fun. And I think that to me is what keeps us interesting, is that it's not monotonous. I mean, it's monotonous in a way that we're one for each other and that's it.
Sure.
But it's not monotonous in our daily, weekly, monthly grind. Like we love adventures and we love trying new things, and we talk about, not falling into the, conventional relationship or what that may be for some people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that we were both talking about our, what's the right word?
it's like
lack of
status quo.
Yeah,
like
our not discuss. That's too
it's almost
strong.
like we're not trying to follow the rules or something.
Yeah,
whatever the rules are.
Yeah, I don't know who invented the rules.
Who invented them?
Who invented them? I don't agree with any of them.
Yes.
And why do they have to be tied to a certain age or a certain demographic or a certain stage of life? And I've just never thought like that. I've never felt that life is a set of stages that you have to live in order. And I feel like the more you do that, you push away from what you were saying, which is falling in love with the process. Yes. And then it becomes about the destination. It becomes about the next milestone. And I was saying that to someone was asking me the question the other day. They said, Jay, how do you stay detached from the result? Like, how do you stay detached from an expectation of how something should go? And I said that it's when you get to the degree that you're getting all of what you need from the process, to that degree, you don't need it from a milestone or an end. But if you're not getting any juice from the process, then you're going to wait for that award. You're going to wait for the milestone. You're going to wait for the big day, because you're not getting any happiness or joy. But if you're getting happiness and joy from the process, then you're not looking for it anywhere else.
Dead on.
And that's where rules and norms and kind of
I see that happen so much in our generation. And I maybe it's because I'm at this age, and I'm obviously in that age where everyone is sort of celebrating those big milestones, but there's not enough of celebrating the things that I feel like take more inner strength, which are owning a company or working for someone or striving to do something in the activist community or speaking about real problems or issues in their family, whatever it may be, like all these different little things along the way that make you up to be this whole person and this happy individual. It's not always about the wedding or the baby shower or the big birthday bash or whatever it may be that kind of creates this identity of who you are for that moment, because then you set yourself up for failure. You get to that peak. It's where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And that's why you hear about these girls. I have friends all the time, and they're like, I'm going through the blues, the post-wedding blues, they're going through the depression of like, what was my life for a whole year? And now I have to reinvent the wheel.
Oh, wow.
And that must feel so tricky.
Definitely. And the interesting thing about that is that can happen with starting a company. That can happen with,
totally.
It can have that feeling can happen with anything.
Yes.
And therefore, what I believe me and you are trying to say, what we're getting to is almost like it shouldn't be around any of those.
No.
It's a personal choice. It's that personal exploration, that curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I know people who've built successful companies and 10 years on are now trying to find their identity because identity was so closely linked to that company.
That's how I feel about acting.
Right.
I feel like for so long, my identity was, and I was just telling a friend of mine, it's like in my family and my group of friends, like there's the actress. That's the girl who, was on TV or whatever. And I'm so different than that identity. Like there's so many different layers to all of us. I want to be the person who expresses the layers in between. And I think that's what I want other people to feel acceptable doing as well. Because there's so much that makes us great.
Yeah. I love that, expressing the layers in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. We can be seen as so one-dimensional, even if you're not. Our job titles make us one-dimensional. It's like that becomes your imprint. And that's why I get excited by every time I get asked to send my biography for an event I'm speaking at or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I literally struggle like what to write. Because I'm like, I don't even know how to describe what I do. And then my mom will be like, I want to tell you my friends what you do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure, mom, like how you can explain it. Because if I told you a title, they wouldn't understand. Like, you know, but it's beautiful that we are struggling to define ourselves in one sense.
Yes.
Because we are multi-layered and multifaceted, and we have so many more dimensions and elements, as opposed to saying I am this and defining ourselves by a word or a job. Absolutely.
Because then you by nature somehow instill all this happiness and that identity. And what if at some point that identity dissipates?
Yes.
Or you decide to pivot, and then all of a sudden you have to teach the people around you that, no, that's okay. Like I don't resonate as that, and that's not all of who I am. I'm going to pivot into this, and this is also a part of who I am, and this also feeds me, and this also makes me feel empowered. It's a tricky thing to sort of navigate sometimes.
It sounds like you had to do that with your friends and family.
Yeah, and I think little by little, I mean, everyone always thinks that I'm just going to fall into another show, and I probably will at some point, but I'm taking this time to do what I think I'm supposed to do right now, and I think there's a bigger purpose behind all of it.
How have you connected that with your family and friends? Like, how have they been able to see that rise of you? Because I guess I've only known that side of you.
Right.
So I've only known you as an activist more than anything, really. And I see you as an incredible activist. Like, you're doing amazing work. So how have the people who've had to evolve with you evolved? How have you helped them see the different side of you, or has it just happened naturally?
You know, it's been really nice is that social media is so prevalent, because people see what I'm doing very quickly and they kind of get on board pretty quickly. But no matter what I do, I don't know that I'll ever be able to shake the actress identity, and I'm okay with it. But I just hope that they know that there's so much more than that, you know? And that's, that's all.
And I think you've leveraged it, which is what we were saying earlier. And that's the best bit, I think, that you've leveraged that identity to be able to be everything else you want to be.
Right.
And people, like you said, take you seriously. They follow you because of this particular identity, but you're showing. So I actually think it works hand in hand.
Yeah, so do I.
It works hand in hand.
So I'm not trying to shake it too much, but I also want people to know there's those layers. They're there.
Exactly. Yeah,
little bullet points underneath.
Yeah, keep it. We need it, because I think anyone I speak to that wants to be a advocate for change, an ambassador, an activist, I feel like when you are known for something, when you are influential in a particular way, everything you do becomes more amplified.
I know.
It's just the world we live in.
I know. And I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
So,
no, I know you are. No,
I know. It's just, I when I hear that, it's almost like I need to reinstill that way of thinking as well, because I know that there is a reason why I've been given so many amazing opportunities to be on a platform or reach more people. And I sometimes forget how important that piece is, and be so grateful for all of that.
And with your intention, it's perfect.
Thank you.
That's why I think I feel very confident saying that to you, because I know what your intention is, and it's so much deeper. So when you have that beautiful intention and then you give influence to that intention, that amplification is beautiful. Whereas if the intention is just greed, enjoyment, negativity, fame, power, etc., and then you give that amplification, that never leads to any good. And I feel like, I think you'll also inspire not only people who watch you or know you for what you've done, but also peers in this space to find more meaning in their life too. Because I find that I was speaking to someone who's a successful singer the other day, and he was sharing the same thing with me, that he struggles with the industry and the kind of messages that are put out. And I was like, yeah, but you can change that.
Yeah.
Like, people listen to your opinion. So you not turning up to interviews and award shows and actually sharing the right message is actually a disservice.
Yep.
Like, it's actually a disservice, because you not turning up says nothing. You turning up and sharing something says everything.
Yep.
And that's, I think you'll not only inspire the people that are watching and following and part of the community, but inspire peers, which I'm excited to see.
Oh, thank you.
When I'm listening to you, what I'm hearing so much is I hear passion, I hear meaning, I hear fulfillment. And I'm not saying any of that's perfect. And we both know that. And same with my life. But I'm hearing all of that. And in my opinion, that comes because you're a person of service, because you're an activist. And that identity of yours, that layer of yours, is what's fueling all of this, right?
Yeah, no, I just had this conversation. I was telling someone the other day, they were struggling to find out what their identity was, what their purpose is. Like, they just feel like they live a more mundane lifestyle, and they just feel like they're constantly on that wheel of just, what is the life? What is this? And I said, are you serving? And they looked at me and they just didn't know what that meant. And I said, are you serving? Like, it could be on the smallest way, but are you doing anything for anyone, whether it be a friend, family member, community, animal, whatever? That feels like power. That is something we all can do. Yeah. There's no definition that describes someone who serves other than it's all of us. We all can do that. And the feeling of doing something that can make an impact on someone else's life, or in a bigger impact than you even could have imagined yourself, makes you feel like there's a purpose. And who knows what can transpire from that. So thank you for even saying that, because there's something really special about finding that service element in your life, because there's so much good. There's just so much good that can come of that.
Yeah, definitely. I remember getting so into understanding service after I lived as a monk for 3 years.
Yeah.
And service was a total part of our life. Like, that is the foundational principle of everything.
Wow.
And then when I came back to the real world, I was like, okay, I need to understand how true this is scientifically too. And I saw this incredible study they did at Cambridge University, where this guy called Michael Norton, he tested how people feel when they were given $5 to $20 to spend on themselves or spend on other people. And they measured their happiness before and after without telling them it was a happiness experiment. And they found that everyone who used $5 or $20 on themselves were no happier than they were before. So your happiness didn't go down, but it didn't go up. And everyone who spent the money on other people, whether it was $5 or $20, their happiness went up by at least 10 to 20%. And so it was just, scientifically, from a data point of view, forget how we feel and forget what we know, just from that point of view. And the funny thing is that the most common things people bought each other bought themselves with Starbucks and makeup.
Oh my goodness.
And the most common things people bought others was Starbucks and makeup. So it wasn't even about
what it was.
It was that feeling of giving. And the whole study kind of concluded by saying money can buy happiness if you spend it on other people. And it wasn't all about money. It was in terms of time and energy as well. So even
investment of any sort.
Exactly. Right. Even if you don't have money, it's that investment of time and energy.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah,
oh my goodness. I just hope people take that away. I hope that really lands, because it doesn't cost anything. I mean, it is a measure of money in that regard, but it doesn't cost anything to serve. And it could be so simple. I mean, people say, call your grandparents, and you don't want to call your grandparents. You get off the phone with your grandparents and feel like $100. You're like, wow, I just made her day. And maybe she didn't really know who I was. Like, she was probably, who's that? It didn't matter. That is the piece that makes you feel like you did something that's bigger than you, and you step outside of being a selfish person like we all tend to be, because it feels like survival of life sometimes. But yeah, it's awesome. Power of service, for sure.
I love it. Yeah, I often say it as we're wired for generosity, but we've been educated for greed. And it's, we're, as kids, what you started with, this whole conversation, I'm going back to that. You started by saying that as kids, we're almost our best selves. And that's why when you made that incredible decision at 5 years old, we're able to kind of tap into how we really feel. And I genuinely believe that kids are wired for generosity. As kids, we're wired for generosity. And then education of all types comes in. I don't just mean the educational system. And it kind of rewires us to become me. So it's beautiful. And I think everyone who's listening, for those of you who don't know, and we've gone so deep with Daniela today, but you work with a nonprofit called Bridget.
Yeah, Meet Bridget.
Yeah, that uses video creation to equip underserved teen girls to envision themselves in careers outside their immediate environments. Tell us a bit about that, because I want the audience to hear about these things, because that's why it's so good having this conversation with you, because you're living it. You're not just saying it. You're not preaching it. You're not just posting on Instagram about it. Like, you're an activist behind so many great ventures. So tell us a bit about that one.
Oh my goodness. One of the most amazing females crossed my path through yoga, ironically. I mean, not really so ironically. There's some amazing people in yoga. Her name is Asha, and she used to work in the field of yoga, and she was going to school, and she saw this need in the female community and these younger generosities of girls, these younger demos that are underserved. And she created Bridget, which is a community of girls that need a little bit of like a big sister element, and also someone who can help guide them in their career path and give them that extra tool or hope or skill or just assist along the ways. I mean, some of these girls are young moms or just kind of were dealt a unique set of cards and need some more hope. And so we've teamed up with Microsoft. We're doing an event at USC, and we're talking about the Me Too movement, and we're just speaking about the tougher things, but also giving a lot of hope and skills to this group of girls. And if you don't know about it, I recommend just doing a little bit of homework and following us or whatever, and coming to one of our events. And we're all just real people at the end of the day, and we're just trying to do our part to instill whatever we can in these young girls.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to speak to a real change maker, like someone who's like your grassroots, but you're also an entrepreneur in the activism space.
Yeah.
And that's empowering, I think, for a lot of people to see that you can do good.
Yes.
And make money.
Yes.
And be successful at the same time. And you don't have to say no. And I think for a long time, I felt, especially when I was growing up, maybe it's in London, or I always believed that you couldn't do good and be successful. Like they were two opposite things. Like if you were successful, but maybe you're a bit greedy, because if you want to be successful, you have to be greedy. And then at the other end, I used to think, oh yeah, do-gooding people don't make money. And I always had, I don't know where that came from, and I'm still trying to explore that, but I always had that viewpoint. And it's nice to see now in our generation, people bring that together.
Oh yeah.
To show that actually you can do more when you have more resources.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I feel like that's happening all over the place. These bigger companies are realizing that people want to put their money, and these consumers care about where their money's going. And as soon as it's supply and demand, right? So as soon as people start to supply for something more than just consumer goods or more than just getting their needs met, and they want a bigger picture involved in this, like these companies will all start to follow suit, because they'll realize like, people are becoming a little more woke over here. It's time to step up our game. Yeah. And that's what I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of those companies that are realizing that from the beginning and being the game changers, right?
I love it. I've got my 5 big questions for you.
Oh, okay.
As we come to a close.
Okay.
So these are usually quick, but they've been a bit longer recently when I've been doing them, because I have awesome guests and everyone has awesome things to share. So I stopped doing them as quick questions, because I was like, if it gets deep, it's deep. Okay. And you can make them as funny as you like to.
Okay.
So I genuinely feel like this. And again, I'm saying this to everyone, and I know Daniela would say this about herself. It's not about being perfect, but you do seem really happy and content. And that energy comes out very naturally through you. What makes you happy?
I start my day with a cup of coffee.
Nice. Okay.
And I evaluate what I'm doing. I always am checking in with myself. And I know when I'm feeling a low, I either pop a B vitamin or I get to the gym. And usually I get to the gym before I do anything, because I know that there are certain things that make me who I am. And if I'm not the happiest person that I can be, then I can't serve in the way that I can do best, right?
Absolutely.
So I know the things that work for me. And it's working out. It's being conscious of what I'm putting in my body. It's drinking coffie. Yeah. I hate to say it, but it is. It gives me energy. I'm not an addict by any means, but I do know that there are certain things that make me who I am. Yeah. And that's part of it.
Amazing. Awesome. Second question. The number one question you'd ask a monk. Have you ever met a monk, actually?
No, just you.
Interesting. It's just me. Okay. What would you ask a monk if you ever met one?
Oh my goodness. What is your skin routine?
Would you actually ask that to a monk?
No, never.
Can you imagine that?
No,
monks do have great skin, actually.
I'm sure they do. Their lifestyles. Yeah. What is your lifestyle? That's the question I would make. Like, what does a Monday look for a monk?
Right.
You know?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for me to know.
Yeah. What does a Monday look like? That's what I'm asking here.
Oh, you are actually asking.
Yeah.
What did a Monday used to look like? So I'm not a monk anymore, but what I used to be, your mornings start off the same, and that's the morning routine thing is it's really propelled into mainstream society now to have a good morning routine, etc. But all of our days would start at 4 a.m. You'd wake up at 4 a.m. You'd start meditating collectively at 4:30. And then by about 5:15, you'd have independent meditation or personal private meditation. And half the day basically is spent in silence and self-awareness. It's your growth. It's about taking care of yourself, your needs, your learning, your development. And then the other half is spent in service. So the other half is spent being out there, whether it's helping build sustainable villages or building food distribution programs or teaching young kids or sharing the message or teaching meditation, whatever it may be. So that construct is something that I've tried to take through in my life, that half of my life should be spent learning, growing. Even this exchange, like from today, I'm just learning, I'm just listening to you without trying to judge, without trying to teach, without trying to share. And then the rest of my day is spent serving by teaching, etc. And so that's kind of
amazing.
What a Monday looks like.
Very cool.
That's what every day looks like.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, okay. Question number 3. The best advice you've ever received.
Whew, I feel like I was from a couple from you today, to be honest. Gosh, the best advice. Wow, it's scary when you start to draw blanks on that end. Because I almost feel like some of the advice that I've gotten along the way has all been self-taught or self-learned. Nice. But then again, I would say that following leaders like you, I really do feel that way. There are people out there in my network or in my circle that I learn from on a daily basis. And I think there's just too many to even choose. Nice. I don't even know where I would start.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then the question was best mentor you've ever had, or some of the best mentors you've had.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm finding a lot now, for sure. I think growing up, I didn't even know I had mentors. My aunt was a significant role play in my life. There was a time where I didn't know where I was living. I had my clothes in the back of my car. I was kind of just sleeping where I could sleep until I figured it out. And my aunt gave me her couch for a while, and I learned a lot. I got a lot done in that amount of time. I went to community college. I got my personal training certification. I went to school for real estate, got my license. Like there was this time where I was trying to figure it out, all amongst acting, which is crazy. I always felt like there was more than acting, always. And that couch and being in my aunt's life, still to this day, she's someone I lean on immensely. She's full of knowledge, full of wisdom, and she did a lot of work on herself and still does. And those are the people that I aspire to be like.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna segue before I ask you the fifth question, because you just made me think of a few things there. What are your thoughts on young men and women today who want to be actors, who want to be social media influencers, who want to be anything that gives you that platform? What would be your advice to them?
Well, I think we live in a time where you can do it. That's the first thing I would tell someone is it's not a joke. Like you have more resources than like someone who lives in the heart of LA or Hollywood or whatever you imagine, who's going to auditions every day. You know, maybe decide what your true goal is in terms of what kind of entertainment you want to put out, and then target that. So find the network around that, find the demo and start creating content on your own, because at the end of the day, even people who are actors are still content creators. And I think there's so much more power and so much more self-worth in creating something of your own. But not to say that using acting as a platform isn't the right tool as well, because I do that as well. But I think a little bit of everything, working alongside, collaborating with people, creating your own, that is all equipment to become, you know, someone in the public eye or someone who has a voice or an actor. Those are all things you could be doing. And I always tell kids too, get involved in school plays. Get your feet wet. You know, stand in front of a large audience with the lights blaring in your face, okay? Just try it on. Try it on a few times.
Were you shy the first time, or were you always like...
Gosh, I don't remember ever being shy. In fact, I feel like I was really annoying most of my childhood, is what I think. When I think about me as a kid, I'm like, gosh, she must have been so annoying. But I don't know. I always felt like I didn't have a fear of speaking up. Yeah.
I'm so glad you're using that fearlessness of speaking up for the right thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you.
And my last question before I ask you whatever else you wanted to share that I didn't cover today is the worst advice you've ever been given.
Oh, the worst advice? Oh my gosh.
Or
You're
the one
gonna
that comes to mind.
After I had lost significant weight and I got my head back in the game and I started to get healthy, I put on quite a bit of weight. I thought it was like the right thing to do at the time. I felt generally happy, but I just knew where I wasn't where I should have been, so I'm going to do something else. And my manager at the time advised against it and was very honest about me putting weight on. And she told me that nothing tastes good as skinny feels. And yeah.
Wow.
And I'd say that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad advice, because let me tell you, a lot of things taste good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a really important message. And that's why I always ask people the worst advice they've ever been given, because I feel more people in their life will hear bad advice than good advice.
Yeah.
And so to be able to know which one's which helps a lot, because good advice is actually more rare. So when people are hearing this and they're hearing you share your worst advice and other guests who are sharing their worst advice, I want people to kind of get an arsenal of like the worst advice.
Smart.
So that they know never to like buy into that.
So smart.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
That is good advice.
Is there anything we've not covered today that you're like, Jay, I really want to share this story, or I didn't get to share this message,
You're
or
so sweet.
anything? I always like bringing that up because
I just want to tap into one really
let's do
quick
it.
thing.
Please. It doesn't have to be quick.
Yeah, so I've been in this industry for a long time. I've come across a lot of very headstrong personalities, and I was in some uncomfortable positions with males, and I learned a lot from it. And I'm going to eventually tell a little bit of this story, but I also feel like the one thing I want people to take away from just the Me Too movement in itself, because I've never really spoken out about it, is, and this might be a controversial angle, but whatever it may be that you struggled from as someone in a position of vulnerability or feeling taken advantage of, there is such a strength that comes from that low. And I am a firm believer of utilizing that and harnessing that strength to create something that is instrumental in your lives and in the lives of other people. So I just feel like if anyone's listening and feels like something was done wrong to them, whether male, female, whatever it may be, instead of taking, and I get that everyone needs their time to sort of comfort themselves and maybe even sulk in that moment, because believe me, a good cry is a recipe for a lot of answers. But after you're done, take that time and say, I am so ready to be the biggest boss. That's what I just wanted to make sure I said, because I think that can, I don't know, it applies to a lot of things. And I just really believe in, like, with every element of weakness or devastation or anything that anyone's encountered that felt wrong, there's so much strength that can come of that. So I just hope that people can, like, hear that and feel stronger.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniela, for being here. I'm so grateful. That was amazing.
Yay.
We talked about so many amazing
really
things.
did.
And I learned so much.
Oh, good.
And
So
the
did
time
I.
just flew by. I think we were talking for like 1.5 hours. But I didn't even feel it. I didn't even feel it. It feels like we just started.
Oh my gosh, we'll do dinner sometime.
Yes, we have to. But thank you so much for coming on. Everyone who's listening, please go check out Daniela on Instagram. Is there anywhere else they should try and find you?
No, I mean, I'm on it all. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, just Daniela Monet.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again for coming and sharing so openly. Honestly, it was really a lot of good learning for me. So
it felt good. It felt good.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
If you want even more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click on the boxes over here. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now get my book, Think Like a Monk, from thinklikeamonkbook.com. Check below in the description to make sure you order today.